Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Everybody loved that, didn't they? Valentine's Day. It is kind of a funny holiday. It's very romantic relationship focused. Sometimes that can be problematic. But I would love to practice today opening our hearts. That's probably not surprising. Just considering saying yes to something in your life, whether that is in a primary romantic relationship or something else in your life, something that's presenting itself to your path. And so as we open up our practice this morning on this lovely Valentine's Day, I would like to share with you one of my favorite poems by David Whyte called The True Love. There is a faith in loving fiercely the one who is rightfully yours, especially if you have waited years, and especially if part of you never believed you could deserve this loved and beckoning hand held out to you this way. I am thinking of faith now and the testaments of loneliness and what we feel we are worthy of in this world. Years ago in the Hebrides, I remember an old man who walked every morning on the gray stones to the shore of the baying seals, who would press his hat to his chest in the blustering salt wind and say his prayer to the turbulent Jesus hidden in the water. And I think of the story of the storm and everyone waking and seeing the distant yet familiar figure far across the water calling to them, and how we are all preparing for that abrupt waking and that calling, and that moment we have to say yes. Except it will not come so grandly, so biblically, but more subtly and intimately in the face of the one you know you have to love. So that when we finally step out of the boat toward them, we find everything holds us and confirms our courage. And if you wanted to drown, you could, but you don't. Because finally, after all the struggle and all the years, you don't want to anymore. You've simply had enough of drowning. And you want to live, and you want to love. And you will walk across any territory and any darkness, however fluid and however dangerous, to take the one hand you know belongs in yours. So with that invitation this morning to have the courage to say yes, you begin to feel into your physical body, feeling into your seat here on your mat, noticing the presence of your breath, the rising and the falling, the ebb and the flow. And you soften the shoulders down away from the ears and lift up through your heart. And you can feel the crown of the head lengthening up toward the sky. Begin your Ujjayi breath if you haven't already. Whisper breath, gently engaging the muscles at the back of your throat. And the hands just resting gently on your knees. As you inhale, let's roll the shoulders back and lift the chest up. A little heart opener. And then as you exhale, tuck through your tailbone and around your spine, lean back a little bit, chin to chest. And then inhale, shoulders back, lift the heart up. And exhale, tuck your tailbone and around your spine. Good, one more like that. Inhale, shoulders back, lift the chest. And exhale, tuck and round. Good. Come back to your upright position. Send your right arm up alongside your ear. Lengthen through the right side body. And we'll come into a side bend for a few breaths. And you can think about, instead of just your side stretch on your right side, continue with that, but also start to direct your heart a little more up toward the ceiling. So part side bend, part back bend. Take one more breath here. And then extend the right arm back up. Bend your elbow, bring your fingertips kind of between your shoulder blades if you can. And then bring your left arm up and over, grab a hold of your right elbow with your left hand. Take a full breath here, maybe that's where you stay. Or you can start to lean over to your left and stretch through the tricep and the shoulder on that right side. And just not forcing anything, but feeling into that deep, optimal stretch for you. Take one more here. And then extend back up. Release your elbow and bring your arms back down. Floor, or hands to the floor. Take your left arm and stretch it up. Reaching up and over into your side body stretch. Lengthening into the left ribs and the shoulder. And again, instead of just coming into your side bend, think about turning your heart just 1 degree more open toward the ceiling. Good. Take another spacious breath here. And then bring it back up. Bend your left elbow. Bring the hand between the shoulder blades. Right hand comes over to left elbow. Take a breath. Maybe this is where you stay. Or start to come into your stretch here. Opening up the left arm, tricep, shoulder, ribs, side body. Take another spacious breath here, maybe drawing deeper into your bend. And then bring it back up. Perfect. Release your elbow, bring your arms down, bring the hands behind you and uncross the legs. Bring your feet to the floor. Lift up through your chest, and then you'll windshield wiper the legs side to side. Just go at your own pace here. If you want to hang out in the twist for an extra breath or two, you're welcome to do that. Good. One more round here. Perfect. And then let's go ahead and make our way forward to the hands and the knees. And as you come forward, we'll move through cat-cow here. So as you inhale, a little back bend, drop the belly, lift the tailbone, open the heart. Exhale, round your spine, chin to chest. Again, inhale, Lift your tail, open the chest. And then exhale, round through the spine. Good. One more like that. Inhale. And exhale. Perfect. Come back to neutral. And I'd like you to shift your weight over to your right hand and your right knee. Stretch your left leg out and take your left arm up. So you're in a modified side plank pose. Right knee and right hand down. Good. And you start to open up your chest a little bit here, turning the heart more open. Nice. Now stretch your left arm forward alongside the ear. Lengthen through the ribs and the side body. Good. You can keep it here or pick up your left foot and float your leg up so your left leg is parallel with the ground. Still lengthening through the left ribs and the side body. Perfect. Again, maybe you stay here or you bend your left leg. Reach back, see if you can grab the foot with the left hand. Kick back and open up the shoulder and the chest. And this is pretty early in practice, so don't force anything, but start to open up the shoulder, chest, heart space. Take one more huge breath here. Release out of that, come back to all fours. Take your knees a little bit wider, stretch your right arm out and up, open through the chest, thread the needle. So the right arm is going to go underneath your left for a little counter pose. Good, you can keep it as is, or you could kick your left toes out to the left, push with your toes, and lift your left knee to go a little bit deeper into this twist. Take a couple more breaths here. Good, and then let's start to unwind out of that. Send your right arm back out, reach it up, and then bring the hand back to the floor. Awesome. All right, just do that on the other side. So shift your weight over to your left hand, kick your left toes behind you a little bit, stretch out your right leg, and take your right arm up toward the ceiling. So now you're on your left knee, left palm, open through the chest. You're going to take the first couple of breaths here and lean back a little bit. Opening the heart up toward the ceiling. Good. And then send your right arm forward alongside the ear and stretch and lengthen through that right side body. Maybe this is where you stay or you float your right leg up and the leg is parallel with the ground. Reach through the right toes and the right fingertips. Take another breath here. Bend your right leg if you want to take it there and grab your foot with your hand. So right hand to right foot, kick back and open. Perfect. Take one more huge breath here. Shoulder back, open the chest. Release the foot, re-extend. Bring it all the way back to all fours, hands and knees. Take your knees a little wider. Stretch your left arm out and up. And then thread the needle. So that left arm goes underneath your right. Good. Same thing here. You can keep it as is. Or kick your right toes over to the right a little bit. Push and lift your right knee off of the floor, moving deeper into this little twist and stretch to the shoulder and upper back. Take another breath. Good. Now let's slowly unwind out of that. Take the left arm back out, reach it up, Bring the hand to the floor. Good, and now make your way into downward facing dog with perhaps just a little more opening the shoulders and the heart. In this first down dog of practice, put a little bend in your knees, root down through the hands, the palms and the pads of the fingers firmly, and see if you can really lift up through the belly, through the navel, and through your tailbone. Try to create as much space between the tailbone and the crown of the head as you can. As much length and traction and opening. Shoulders away from the ears. Maintain that length, and then maybe start to straighten out the legs a little bit. They may not straighten out at all, and that's okay. Just gently pedaling through the feet, maybe working the heels closer to the floor while moving your chest a little bit toward your feet. Take 2 more breaths here in this downward dog. Good. Bend the knees, look forward. Let's take a step or hop forward toward the top of the mat. Lengthen the spine, so flat back, extend through the crown of the head. Exhale, fold. Perfect. Come all the way up to standing on your next in-breath. So ground your feet, stretch the arms all the way up, reach up. Stay here for an extra breath. Let the shoulders draw down away from the ears. Lift up more through your heart and start to reach back behind you, just for an extra breath or 2. And then exhale, hands come back together in front of the heart. Good. Take the arms back up on in-breath, reach up tall, open. Exhale, dive forward and fold. Uttanasana, forward fold. Relax your head, relax your neck. Flat back as you inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Come all the way back to standing on your next in-breath. So the feet root down to the floor, arms reach up, maybe a little mini back bend. Exhale, hands back, heart center. Good. Arms back up as you inhale, stretch up tall, lift and lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Lead with your heart as you swan dive forward. Flat back as you inhale, lengthen your spine. And now we're going to take the hands down, step our way to plank pose, upward push-up. Pause here. Good. So shoulders over wrists and elbows, squeeze through inner thighs, pull belly in. Everything draws toward that midline. You can always come down to the knees or go back to down dog from here. Otherwise, you're going to lower down, chaturanga, dandasana. Inhale into a low cobra pose, shoulders back, open and lift up through the heart. And then exhale, downward facing dog. And starting to warm the body up here, a little at a time. Good. Take another full breath here. Tailbone lifting up, thighs back, heels toward the floor. Bend your knees, look forward, step or hop to the top of the yoga mat. Flat back as you inhale, so get long through the spine and the torso. Exhale, fold. All the way back up to standing. So ground your feet, stretch up, reach up through the arms, maybe slightly back behind you. And then exhale, hands together, heart center. Good. Bend your knees and sit into a chair pose. We're going to hang out here for just a couple of breaths. The feet parallel, thighs and knees level. Bend your elbows, goal posting the arms. Okay, so this will give you a little more space and freedom in your shoulders and your heart. Still keep your knees bent. In fact, maybe you sit a little deeper into your chair. as the heart continues to lift up. And now let's take the arms down, clasping the hands behind the back and giving a little more leverage here to open up through the shoulders. Make sure you still stay connected and toned at your core, your belly. Take another full breath, little lifting up of the rib cage and the chest like a telescope, and then exhale, dive forward and fold. Keep the fingers interlaced if you're able. If that's too aggressive, then release that and bring your hands down toward the floor. Give this another breath or two. Release your clasp if you haven't already. Flat back as you inhale, lengthen through your spine. Plant your hands, take a step or hop back, and let's move through each chaturanga. If you'd like, lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Take your right leg back behind you to a three-legged down dog. Feel into the ground firmly through your hands. You might walk your hands back just a couple of inches and start to ground more through your left heel. Keep your right leg lifted, root through your right hand. Let's walk the left hand back to about the middle of the mat. So you're coming into a kind of a teeter-totter down dog. The left hand can stay there. You can even come up onto the fingertips, or maybe you take the left hand away and feel your balance here with your right hand and left foot strong through your core. Take one more breath here. Maybe float that left or the right leg up a little higher. Bring your left hand back to the ground. Pull your right knee in toward your chest. Really use your core here. Slowly step your foot through and come down to your left knee. Extend your arms and your torso upright. So you're in this low lunge with the left knee on the floor. Shoulders soften down, lift up through your chest. Square off the hips, bend your elbows. Goalpost the arms. Now, we're going to shift the hips forward just a little bit without letting go of our core, with the chest up and open up through the heart. Take two more breaths here. Good. Now re-extend the arms, take the hands down to the floor. Pick up your back knee and step forward to standing split. So your left leg floats up as you fold over your right leg. Good. Take another breath here. You can always take the right hand or forearm back behind your calf, folding it in. Good. Last breath here. And then go ahead and step the left foot to the very back of your mat, and you're going to come into a warrior two pose. Okay, so adjust your feet accordingly. We want the right toes pointing directly forward, the heels lined up, extend and lengthen out through your arms. On your inhale, think about the chest lifting up a little bit, the crown lifting up a little bit. As you exhale, think about deepening into that lunge and your pelvis weighing down. Turn both palms up toward the ceiling, open through your chest. Same thing we did in chair pose. We're going to drop the arms down and clasp the hands behind the back. Shoulders back, lift the chest. Nice job. Maybe keep it here. Or you could take ostrich pose where you dive forward, bringing right shoulder to the inside of that right knee. Shoulders opening up here. If this feels too much, bring your hands down to the ground and still get the hip opener as you continue to draw the thighs back and let your head come down toward the floor. Give this another full breath. Ease your way back up. Re-extend back out through the arms. Now, turn the right palm up. Stretch your right arm up alongside the ear. Remember this thing we did at the beginning of practice. Bend your right elbow. Bring your hand between your shoulder blades. Bring your left hand over to your right elbow. Deepen into your lunge a little bit and start to lean back. Good. Maybe that's where you stay. Or another option here is that you take your left arm down and reach kind of up the back and clasp your hands, coming into archer arms. Good, you guys. 2 more breaths here. See if you can deepen into that lunge a little bit. Right knee forward and point your right elbow up and slightly back. Last breath here. Release out of that. Straighten your front leg. Whew. You might need to heel toe that back foot forward just a little bit for triangle. So right fingertips and rib cage reach forward, right hand down, left arm extending up. Good. If your right hand is pressing onto your shin or a block or the floor, see if you can unweight that a little bit and use more of your leg strength and your core strength to support this pose. Take 2 more breaths here. Turn your heart more open. Nice. And then gaze down at the floor. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Bend into your front leg. Shift forward, picking up this back leg. Finding your balance. Right hand on the floor or a block. Good. Maybe this is where you stay, or similar to what we did before, bend your left leg. Find your half bow. I mean, granted, we were on the knee earlier, but same pose, half bow. Take 2 more breaths here. Kick back and open. Woo, good job, you guys. Release out of that. Come all the way back to either down dog, or you can move through a chaturanga. Good. Pause here for a moment. See if you can get your bearings here. And then make your way, or take your left leg back behind you, reach it up. And again, here you might walk your hands back just a couple of inches, grounding more through your right heel. And just wear the size that fits. Pause where you need to pause. Make sure you're breathing. Maybe walk your right hand back to about the middle of your mat. You can have your hand there or your fingertips there, or maybe you take your right hand away and come into a teeter-totter down dog. Breathe here, you guys. 2 more breaths. Maybe float your leg up a little higher. Right hand to the floor. Hug your left knee in toward the chest. Use your core. Step your foot through. Come down to your right knee. Arms go up. Low lunge, so square off the hips. Hug toward midline. Stretch up tall. Bend your elbows. Goalpost the arms. Shift your hips forward just a little bit, but maintain your core, the navel pulling back toward the spine. And then start to open up your chest toward the sky. 2 more breaths here. Good. Re-extend the arms. Take your hands down to the floor. Pick up your back knee and step forward to standing split. So your left foot roots down, right leg reaches up. Fingertips can stay on the ground, or like we did on the other side, maybe you take your left hand and forearm back behind your calf as you fold it in. Good. Couple more breaths here. Float that right leg up, forehead toward your shin. Good. And then step your right foot to the very back of your mat, setting up for warrior two pose. So check out your feet. Make sure your heels are pretty much lined up. Left toes pointing forward. Extend out through your arms. Now as you inhale, lift up through your chest and through your crown just a little bit. Good. As you exhale, deepen into your lunge. Feel your pelvis move down. And then we're going to turn both palms up. Bend your elbows, open the chest. Good. Exhale the arms down. Clasp your hands behind your back. Shoulders back, knuckles down, lift your chest up. And then you can either keep it here or dive forward into your ostrich pose or humble warrior. So keep your feet planted, your hips continue to draw back a little bit, head down. And you always have that option of bringing your hands down to the floor. 2 more breaths. Good. Now make your way back up, strong through your core. Legs stay the same, re-extend the arms. Turn the left palm up, take your left arm straight up. Bend your elbow, hand in between your shoulder blades. Right hand comes over to left elbow. Stay in your warrior two stance as you lean back a little bit, stretching through the tricep and the shoulder. Good. Either keep it here or take your right arm down and move that hand up the back. See if you can clasp your hands or touch fingertips in what we call archer arms. Couple more breaths here. Strong lunge. Commit to that lunge, you guys. Lean back a little bit. Point that left elbow up. Last full breath. Ease on out of that. Re-extend the arms. Straighten up left leg. Maybe heel toe the back foot forward just a little bit. Reach your left arm and fingertips forward. Trikonasana, triangle pose. So right arm reaches up. Spine stays long and lengthened. And again here, if you are pushing the left hand into the shin or the block or the floor, try to loosen up, lighten up on that a little bit. Use more of your leg strength and your core strength. Maybe take your left hand all the way off of the leg. Last breath here, open up your chest. Turn your heart a little more open. Gaze down at the floor. Coming into Ardha Chandrasana or half moon. So find your way into this balance, lifting up right arm, right leg. Notice your breath, the quality of your breath here. Maybe this is where you stay, or bend your right leg, reach back for the foot. Good. 2 more breaths. Balancing your effort and your ease. Let go of the foot. Come on back to your plank pose, chaturanga, or you can go directly to downward facing dog. Good. All right, you guys, come down to your knees. And let's come up to an upright kneeling position, setting up for Ustrasana, camel pose. So you can either keep your toes tucked under like this, or have the tops of your feet, the toenail side down. Having the toes tucked will have your heels a little higher, easier to reach behind you for camel. So bring your hands to your low back with the fingertips pointing down toward your glutes. And as you push down, as though you're trying to lengthen your tailbone and your lower back a little bit, pull your shoulder blades and your elbows toward one another. Now, push down toward the glutes, lift up through your heart, kind of like a flexi straw. And maybe that's your pose, exactly like this, lifting through your chest, pushing down toward the glutes. You can start to lean back a little bit more, and maybe keep it there, or you can kind of feel your way to your heels. Imagine your inner thighs still hugging toward that center as though they're hugging around a block. Shoulder blades pull toward one another. Lift your chest up. Move your hips and your thighs forward a little bit. Take 2 more breaths here. Good. Hands support the low back again. Push toward your glutes. Strong legs. Lift up. Now we're coming into puppy pose. So your hands will come forward. Walk your hands way forward and move your forehead and even your chest toward the floor. So this is kind of like down dog on the knees. Modification of child's pose, keeping the hips stacked over the knees. Couple more breaths here. Good, and then bring your hands back. Let's press up. Hands and knees, and then make your way to downward facing dog. Good. All righty, my dears. Take your right leg up into the air. Reach it up, long and lengthen. Walk your hands back just a little bit. So we're kind of revisiting this teeter-totter business. Right hand stays where it is. Walk your left hand back. Middle of the mat. You can pause anywhere along the way here. See if you can take your left hand away from the floor. Maybe that's where you stay. Or bend your right leg. Can you touch your foot with your left hand, right foot, and then kick back. So this is a funky bound version of your down dog. Take another breath and let go of the foot. And step your right foot forward. That was, I don't know if you're watching me, but that was super graceful and I looked really good. Not. Okay, bring your left knee down to the floor and keep your left hand down on the ground. Send your right arm up. So we're coming into a twisting lunge. Right arm reaches up. So you have tons of options here. You can keep it exactly as is. You could pick up your back knee and fire up that back leg. You could lift your left hand off of the mat, take your left elbow over to your right knee, and come into a prayer twist. Okay, this is not for everyone, it's just an option here. If you're in that prayer twist, you have that last option of spreading through the arms. So the left hand moves down toward the floor to the outside of the right foot, and the right arm reaches up. Take another breath. Good. Now, everybody look down at the floor. Inch your left hand forward about a foot beyond the toes. Pick up your left leg. So you're in a revolved half moon. You have the option of bringing your right hand to your hip, coming into more of a warrior three. Or you have the option of bending your left leg, Reaching your right hand to your left foot. I don't hear any breathing. So take 3 more deep breaths here. Good, you guys release out of that. Now step your left foot about 3/4 of the way back of your mat for pyramid pose. So the feet are about hip width apart here. Left toes angled almost forward. Square off the hips and fold over this right leg. Good. Take another breath here in your pyramid, really focusing on that right leg, hamstrings. Perfect. And then make your way back to plank pose, chaturanga, and downward facing dog. All right, so as we move to the other side, just take your time here, okay? Just work with each and every breath. Stay to your edge, but not beyond. So take your left leg back, reach it up. Right heel moves closer to the floor. Walk your hands back a little bit. This will help. Just narrow your stance some. Now, left hand stays down. Walk your right hand back to about the middle of your mat. Steady your balance here. Use your core. Feel your breath. Maybe right hand unweights. Maybe you bend your left leg. See if you can find your left foot with your right hand. Good. Sometimes it helps to pull the left knee into the chest and then find it and kick it back. Take 2 more breaths here. Good. Now right hand goes to the floor. Step your left foot through. Come down to your right knee. So you're back in this low lunge. Now, right hand stays down. Left arm reaches up, twist. And remember, you have all of those options. You can keep it right here. You could pick up your back knee and engage your legs. Squeeze those inner thighs toward midline. Maybe that's where you stay. Or you can pick up this right hand, move the elbow over to the outside of that left knee for your prayer twist. And if you're in that prayer twist, maybe you spread the arms. So your right arm goes down, left arm reaches up, right hand just to the outside of that left foot. Good. Now everybody look down at the floor. Inch your right hand about a foot beyond your left toes. Pick up this right leg. Coming into revolved half moon. Or you can bring that left hand to your hip and stick more with the warrior 3 balance. Or lastly, you bend your right leg, left hand to right foot, and kick back in this funky half bow. Take another full breath here wherever you are. You're going to let go of the foot. Left hand down, step your right foot about 3/4 of the way back on your mat, setting up for pyramid. So you want the feet about hip bone distance apart, the right toes angled almost forward. Square off the hips, so really pull that left hip and thigh back and start to fold over your left leg. Good, several breaths here. Nice, you guys. Take another full breath. And go ahead and hands to the floor, step feet back to plank pose. Chaturanga. And cobra or upward dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Come down to your knees. And come to your upright kneeling position for one more camel pose, Ustrasana. So again, feet can be flat or toes can tuck under. Hands to your low back, fingertips down toward the glutes, like you're pushing down, trying to lengthen the low back. Now we don't want to tuck the tail and push the pelvis too far forward. We want to make sure there's length there. Squeeze shoulder blades and elbows toward one another. Push down toward the glutes as you lift up through your heart. Again, kind of like that flexi straw analogy. And maybe that's where you stay, or start to lean back a little bit more, turning the heart more open, and maybe reach for your feet, for the heels of your feet. And again, continue to push your hips and your thighs forward a little bit. Lift from the back of the heart. Keep your gaze toward the ceiling, not all the way back behind you. 2 more breaths here. It's a little bit hard to breathe in this pose. 1 more massive inhale. Now stay strong in your legs, hands to your lower back. Push down toward the glutes, lift your body up. And then 1 more puppy pose, or Anahatasana. This is also called heart chakra pose because we're melting the heart down toward the floor. So head down. See if you can, this time around, move your chest, your sternum down toward the floor, and maybe look forward. Take 1 more breath. Good, and then just go ahead and make your way into a regular child's pose, sitting on back toward your heels. The arms can come back along your sides for embryo. Good, really nice, everybody. Take another breath here. And then ease your way back up and make your way onto your back. And you can take your time to get there. Make your way onto your back and hug the knees in toward your chest. Good. Bring the soles of your feet to the ground. And setting up for bridge pose. So if you reach your arms down, make sure you can just barely touch the backs of your heels with your fingertips. Bend your elbows so your fingertips point straight up toward the ceiling. Press the back of your head and your feet, your elbows and your shoulder blades to the floor. Before you lift your hips up, lift your chest up, like you're trying to puff your heart up toward the ceiling. That will expand the ribs a little bit, and then push through your feet, strong legs. Now lift your pelvis up into bridge without letting the heart sink back down. Imagine you had a block between your thighs, so pulling in toward that center lift from the back of the heart, and make sure you've got space at the back of your neck, your cervical spine. Now, a couple of places you can go from here. You can bring your arms down and clasp your hands underneath you, coming into this variation of bridge, even shimmying your shoulder blades a little bit closer to one another, not letting the knees splay out, pulling them in, and continue to lift up through your heart instead of your hips so much. Good. Now you can come down at any point and rest and then come back up. I'm just going to talk you through one more progression here. If you want to work into a full wheel, this Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow pose, you'll release your clasp. Bring your hands to the floor next to your ears with the fingertips pointing toward the shoulders. So the elbows kind of point up. The hips stay lifted, the legs stay strong. And then you'll push with your hands to the floor, prop up onto the very top of your head. And maybe that's where you stay. Or you pull your shoulders away from the ears, move your chest toward the back of the room, and then straighten up your arms. I said back of the room, but I meant front of your mat. But it kind of seems everything's turned around at this point. So 2 to 3 more breaths in your full back bend or bridge pose. And then let's go ahead and lower everything back down. And everybody hug the knees into the chest. Whew. If you're feeling like you need another back bend, you're welcome to do one more. Or you can start this counter pose by hugging the knees in, rocking side to side. Maybe reaching out for your feet for a happy baby pose. So the soles of the feet face up as you pull your feet down with your hands, ideally grabbing the outer edges of the feet, the knees pull wide. Try to neutralize your spine here, so it's really easy to come into extreme flexion here, tucking your tailbone up. So think about pressing your sacrum down into the floor. Take another breath. And then release your feet, pull your knees in toward your chest, and take both knees to your right for a spinal twist. Stretch your left arm out. You can come into whatever kind of a twist that works for you. Take one more cleansing breath here. And then the knees will come back through center. Then we'll take the knees to the left and stretch the right arm out to the right. Take your time as we wind this down. And last breath here. And bring your knees back up, your chest, and if there's any last finishing pose or sequence, maybe you want to take the legs up for a few breaths, or even go into like a shoulder stand or a plow pose or a figure 4 or hip opener. Just pay attention to your body. let's finish with anything that you might need here. And then can you allow the body to settle into Shavasana, into corpse pose? There is no rush to get there, but whenever you feel ready, allow your body to ground and to stabilize, to rest. As you move into Shavasana, again, The True Love by David Whyte. There is a faith in loving fiercely the one who is rightfully yours, especially if you have waited years, and especially if part of you never believed you could deserve this loved and beckoning hand held out to you this way. I am thinking of faith now and the testaments of loneliness and what we feel we are worthy of in this world. Years ago, in the Hebrides, I remember an old man who walked every morning on the gray stones to the shore of the baying seals, who would press his hat to his chest in the blustering salt wind and say his prayer to the turbulent Jesus hidden in the water. And I think of the story of the storm and everyone waking and seeing the distant yet familiar figure far across the water calling to them. And how we are all preparing for that abrupt waking and that calling and that moment we have to say yes. Except it will not come so grandly, so biblically, but more subtly and intimately in the face of the one you know you have to love. So that when we finally step out of the boat toward them, we find everything holds us and confirms our courage. And if you wanted to drown, you could, but you don't. Because finally, after all the struggle and all the years, you don't want to anymore. You've simply had enough of drowning. And you want to live, and you want to love. And you will walk across any territory and any darkness, however fluid and however dangerous, to take the one hand you know belongs in yours. You feel into the breath expanding at your own heart, at your chest. Maybe you even feel the beating of your own heart. And with particular gratitude this morning for our own individual opportunities to love. Not just romantic love, to even direct that love toward the self. And so, as you're ready, can you begin to move a little bit through the fingers and the toes, starting to reawaken the body. And if you prefer to stay where you are for longer, that's fine. You can start to make your way over to one side as you're ready, to a fetal position. And then back up to your seat on your mat. On your next in-breath, will you extend the arms all the way up alongside the ears? Touch your palms together. And then just gather all of this goodness, all of this that you've cultivated in your practice to your heart center. And we'll finish our practice this morning with one round of Om, if you'd like to join. Take a full breath in. Namaste. Yay for love, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.